Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have MC Laubscher with us. He's the creator and host of the Cashflow Ninja podcast and president of Producers Wealth. So welcome to the show, MC.
Thanks for having me on, Tyler.
Of course. I'm excited to have you on, and we will dive in. The first question I have for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Yeah, I think growing up in South Africa during an extremely interesting time and a changing environment was a very big lesson, and I think a very important story which really shaped the person that I am. For listeners not familiar with South Africa and what happened there, we had an apartheid regime. I still remember being in school when Nelson Mandela was released from prison. We had our first democratically elected president in 1994 during that time. I mean, the transition was kind of crazy, where society basically went from one form of one regime and one form of government and transitioned over to another one without a massive civil war. And growing up during that time, I mean, Tyler, I think the big message for me was, and that I take with me every single day in my life, is to critically think, to think for myself, to read widely, to research, to see many different viewpoints and form my own opinion. And also within my business, especially, I always focus on preparation over planning. You know, and I have a sports background as well, so that's why I use it as well. You know, Tom Brady, when he runs out, he prepares for anything that can come his way, right? He's got a plan, but the preparation is higher on the priority list for him to be able to operate or to execute in any situation.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing that story as well. And what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that is within your expertise or industry?
I had a wealth formula that a mentor taught me, and this has made a huge difference in my life. And that's your mental capital times your relationship capital equals your financial capital. And then the goal is to turn that financial capital into cash flow. So you can reverse engineer basically what you need. Let's just say you need $10,000 a month. That's about 20K per year in passive income and cash flow. If you can get a consistent return year over year, let's just say of 12%, just to make the math simple, you're going to need about $1 million in financial capital. And then it's your mental capital times your relationship capital that's going to get you there. So what you know, what you study, your high income skill set that you have, what you read, what courses and seminars you take, and then also your relationships is everyone that you know, the people that you spend time with, your network, the team that's going to help you, right, of professionals and so forth. So putting that together, that's made all the difference for me, and something that I look at on a daily and weekly and monthly and yearly basis.
Yes, and I just want to chime in there. That equation just made like everything so much simpler. Like I can see the equation in my mind. So for people listening, like I would like write that down. Like that was huge advice. So thanks for sharing that as well. The next question is, what's your best piece of overall business advice, so not necessarily industry specific?
Constantly learning, constantly learn. And always what I try to do is try to figure out what I want to do next, and then find the person that's already achieved it, and then study everything I can about them. So, and then try different things, because you're going to fail a lot, and you're going to be surprised at the things that don't work, and surprised at the things that do work, right? So it's constant experimentation, especially in an ever-changing environment in the online world. But constantly learn, study other folks, successful people, and have mentors. If you can't have them in person, virtually, or even just on YouTube.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I would say if I were to give my younger self a piece of advice, is get uncomfortable, and get uncomfortable daily. I think once you start, and let's just say you do get uncomfortable and then you become comfortable again, right? So you would try something new, you would master it, and then all of a sudden you would kind of stick around in that comfort zone. Well, I would say to my younger self, get out of your comfort zone daily, because you have to grow daily. It's incremental growth, right? Because all these little small things add up. We're so focused on home runs, in the media and online. Everything has kind of been glorified, that you just want to see big cars and big houses and big pools and private jets, and we all think there's a quick way to get there. It's all these little base hits that get those folks there, not necessarily the one big home run.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
Be happy with yourself. One of the things that I learned, and I've had some failures in my life, and about a decade ago was in a very big, deep and dark place. And I think to come to terms with yourself, your philosophy, your core beliefs, your principles and values, and know exactly what they are, and then also claim self-ownership over yourself. It sounds very simple. Not a lot of people take ownership for themselves, because they don't take responsibility for everything that's happened in their life and everything that will happen. And that also moves accountability away from them. So the most important person to be accountable to is yourself, because when you do that, you're going to grow in confidence every single day. Confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself, and that's being accountable. So that's what I would say to that.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what's the number one thing you learned from that?
I'm going to give you 3 quick hits. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki for context, expanding that context. The same with the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, or just a kind of a mindset thing. And then also, I would say from a financial standpoint, in my life, The Creature of Jekyll Island was huge for me to understand that there's a game with money and there's rules to this game. And then you just have to figure out who's playing the game better than everyone else and study and model them.
Yes, and again, I have to chime in here because most people do not know about the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. So that's so cool when you said that. The other 2 books are very, very good as well. I highly recommend them. But The Creature from Jekyll Island is just like, in my opinion, on another level of like storytelling and just how money works and all that stuff. So anybody listening, go check that out. Last question, or second to last question I have for you is, what is your favorite quote and why?
Just do it. Sounds very, very corny, but I think we're so entrenched and consumed with learning a lot of stuff. And you find folks that they learn and they read and they learn and they read, but they never take that leap. They never just do it. So just go out and do it. You got to start somewhere. You have to take that leap. So the one thing that differentiates a lot of successful people from a lot of average people is just taking action. So just do it. You're going to fail, by the way. Disclaimer, right? You're going to fail. So just start doing it, and just start taking incremental steps.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on, MC. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where's the best place for people to find you online?
Yeah, so Tyler, I have a podcast where I interview Cashflow ninjas, as I like to call them. They can access it at cashflowninja.com. We look at how to create cash flow from real estate, commodities, gold, silver, oil, crypto and blockchain technologies, paper assets, and more. So we've got everything in there. That's cashflowninja.com.
Perfect, man. Thank you again for coming on. This episode was awesome.
Thanks, Tyler.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.